Good morning and welcome to the second day of the Dance and the Outdoors Symposium. Welcome everybody. My name is Danielle Corbishley. I'm the head of 101 Outdoor Arts Creation Space, which is a national centre for the development of outdoor arts and work for public spaces in the UK. My preferred pronouns are they and she, and I'm wearing a red and black checkered shirt. I'm in my early 40s with white skin, brown eyes and long brown hair tied back in a scraggly bun today. Firstly, I'd like to welcome you all here. Welcome back to Feedloop. I hope you enjoyed day one for those of you that were here yesterday. Can I ask, first of all, that I'd like to invite you all to introduce yourself into the room and into the chat function. Perhaps if you wouldn't mind entering your name and your organisation, we'd love to hear where you're from, and it would be lovely to feel a little bit more connected today in this digital space. So I'm going to invite you all now just to welcome yourself into the room. Thank you very much. We've got a mega lineup for you today with two epic panel discussions, one on scenography and architecture, and one later this afternoon on digital exploration and play in outdoor dance, and then a final closing session with Rosemary Lee. Temujin Gunawardena is also back again, making magic on her iPad as she artistically responds to each session, which we'll show throughout the day. And I'd like to remind you that closed captions can be accessed by clicking on the button along the bottom of your video frame. The sessions are also recorded so that you can go back and listen later and download a transcript of the event as well. So on to the action. Now, before our first panel discussion this morning on scenography and architecture and outdoor dance, we've got a very special treat for you, a gift for your body. Delegates, I'm very pleased to introduce an exceptional and hard-working dancer, Christina Alleyne from Alleyne Dance, who over the next 10 minutes is going to get us all up and ready for the day. Over to you, Christina.
Good morning, beautiful people. Lovely to meet you. My name is Christina Alleyne. I am from Alleyne Dance. I am the co-artistic director. I am in my mid-30s. I am a Black woman of Caribbean heritage. I have brown eyes and dark brown hair mid-length, and I'm in a pink kind of short sleeve top with a high neck. So everyone, I want to give you the opportunity to get your blood pumping, get your heart alive, and break up the routine. You can do this sitting, but I really encourage you to stand and get used to the room that this is your office for today. So here we go. It's not long, 10 minutes, and it's not difficult, but the beginning will hurt a little bit. Good luck. Okay, I ask you to shake your hands, come to standing. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, bring your hands forward. Allez, yes. Bring your hands close together, and we're going to rotate in. There you go. You can move the feet. Nice. If you can, keep your elbows straight. Yes. From all the typing, all the admin, we're going to have sexy hands today. Yes. In. Beautiful. Bring it to the sides. We go backwards. Backwards. Tap. Tap. Nice. Beautiful. If your arms are hurting, welcome. Let's do this. Tap. Nice. Beautiful. Keep breathing. It's not forever. We got this. Tap. Beautiful. And bring it to the front. Double time. Tap, 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 tap. Oh yeah. Inside. In. Oh yeah. Tap. Beautiful. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, head goes down. Look down. Look up. Look down. And up. Again. And all the way down. All the way up. And down. And up. Bring your arms to the side. Backwards. Double time. Tap, tap. Or halfway. Tap, 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 tap. Beautiful. Don't give up, people. Passion. Determination. How we start the session. Bring your head to the right and left. So your left. Right. up, sharp head, flick, down, flick, up, double time, down, up, down, triple time, and tap, 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 tap to the right, and right, you got this, to the left, and shut, double time, tap, 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 triple, and pop, 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 well done, and push. Don't drop your arms, bring your arms to the sky, and then push someone away, up, nice, push, up, and it's like a yawn. Here we go guys, look up, bend the knees to the side, and up, and yeah, and up, beautiful, look up, look down, look up, look down, let's go to the right side, so we spiral, twist, push, and up, spiral left, push, nice, up, spiral, push, beautiful, up, and push, and up, shake out your arms, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice, bring your hands to your chest, kind of like you're in basketball, netball, like a chest pass, elbows are out. Whew. We're going to rotate the wrists, and you're going to close with the little finger to the thumb. Then we go thumb, spiral open, try and keep your palms face the screen, and then close, close, close. That's nice. Again, shut, and close. Nice, a bit faster. Shut, in, shut. You got this. In, shut, in. Beautiful. Shut, here we go. We look up. Shut, we look down. And tap, look up. Beautiful. Tap, we look down. Shut, we look up. Here we go, guys. Bring it over the head. So you do the same thing, but now we look up. Your elbows come together. Then tap, spiral. We look down, elbows go out. Here we go, and tap. Round, look up. Close it, and tap. Spiral, look down, beautiful people. And tap. Spiral, look up. And tap. Spiral, look down. Nice, okay, let's bring our fingertips together. Flex as much as you can, like you're pushing a wall. Now go to the ceiling. Push the ceiling away. Go to the side. Yes, your arms are burning. Yes, you're burning. It's okay. And bring it down. Flex, flex, flex. Nice. Rotate in and push it forward. Nice. Here we go. Just rotate the wrist. We go down and up. Nice. And down. And up. Yes, it's burning. You can move the feet or the hips down. And up. 2 more times. Yes. And down. Tip, tip. And up. 1 more time. And down. Beautiful. And up. From here, we rotate from the top. Ripple, ripple. And up. Ripple, ripple. Tap. Nice. You kind of want all your fingertips to be juicy, sexy, flexible, as much as you can this morning or afternoon. And now we reverse. Go with the wrists, down, nice. Wrists, beautiful. Down, nice. Okay guys, this is our paint brushes. So we only lead from our wrists and our fingertips follow. Yes? It's like we're painting the whole room, leading with the wrists. What colors are you going to paint it today? Start to follow it with your head. Nice. Maybe your hands can go separate places. Nice. Can you go over the head? Can you move the hips? Can you move the feet? Let's go. Paint in your room. Paint your space. Tap, tap, tap. Nice. Maybe you can turn. Maybe you can look down. Up. Nice. All right. We'll bring our hands together around. cut at your belly. Up, cut. It's like, oh my God, it's too painful. Up, breathe in, breathe out, strong breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, nice, breathe in, breathe out, nice, breathe in, breathe out. We're going to go to the left side. So you go up, cut, right, cut, up, up. If you're standing, start to bend the knees. Stand up, bend, up, bend. Breathe in, look up, breathe in, beautiful, in, and tap. Looking up to the sky now. You look up, then down, 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 up. Beautiful, people. We're going to change the up. So you improvise up, change, then cut. Your own, cut. You can go around, cut. You can go behind you, then cut. Up, shut. Up, shut. Beautiful, up. If you feel good, move the legs. Maybe you want to turn, then you want to cut. Maybe you want to go down. Maybe you want to look to the back. Let's go, people. Few more. Tap. Hop. Yes, hop. Hop. 4 more. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Well done, guys. Bring your arms to the sky. Rotate. Bend the knees if you can. As low as you can. Reaching up. Rotate. Coming down. Nice. And cross the arms. Rotate. Bring it down. And switch, cross. Breathe in. Breathe out. Beautiful. Hands reaching up. And let go. Push the space. And hug your back. Give it a nice hug. And going up. Let go, hug. Push the space. And give yourself a nice hug. Beautiful. Coming up. We did it, guys. We're going to flick our arms up to the sky. Bring it to your back. Good luck. You can scream. 3, 2, 1, and go. Ha! That's it. And push. 3, 2, 1, ha! You can scream, you can shout. I can't hear you. And go. Ha! Yes. And push. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, ha! Here we go. 2 more. Push. 3, 2, 1, ha! And push. 1 more. 3, 2, 1, ha! Stay. Reach up to the sky. Bring your heart up. Reach for something you're passionate about. Something you love. Breathe in, and slowly let go. Beautiful. And just look around the space. All the spaces you painted. How colourful it is. Is the sun coming in? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Thank you guys so much for this morning or this afternoon or this night, depending where you are. I'm going to give it back to Danielle. Thank you.
Oh, Christina, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Thank you. The power of dance, everybody, the power of dance. And thank you for giving me sexy, juicy, flexible hands this morning. I'm going to make sure I use them today as I'm sorting out my laptop. Thank you very much. Right, so now that our brains are all tanked up on oxygen, we're ready to move on to our first intoxicating panel discussion this morning. And to guide us through this, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the panel chair, researcher, writer, teacher, cultural consultant, a woman who's a specialist in work for outdoors and public space. I present Floriane Gaber.
Thank you, thank you. Well, actually, you had asked me to introduce myself, but you did it perfectly, so I have nothing to add. Well, I'm Floriane. I'm Belgian, but I'm based in Paris, so hello from Paris. I'm a white woman with long gray hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt today. And you can see a lot of books behind me. So yes, of course, I'm a researcher, a journalist, a writer, and things like that. And I specialize in street arts and outdoor performances. Let me thank you, the organizers of this panel, for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to chat this morning with Frauke, with Willi, and with Satchie, who are choreographers performing sometimes outdoors, but not only and not all the time. So actually the title of this panel is Scenography and Architecture in Outdoor Dance, and the undertitle is Architecture as a Scenography and Scenography as Architecture. So just a couple of words to say hi to our three panelists. Frauke, you are a German-born, London-based choreographer, and with David Rosenberg, an experimental theater director, you created several works as Electric Hotel in 2009, Motor Show 2012, The Roof 2014, Outdoor. Satchie, hello Satchie. You were trained as a classical ballet dancer. You are a choreographer, an aerial acrobat, a performer, and you created the company Furinkai, the sound of the wind, is it? And you're based in Nanterre, close to Paris. Willi, hi. You are an Austrian dancer and choreographer, trained in developmental movement, body-mind centering, contact improvisation, release technique, and Alexander technique, is it?
Correct.
So just for the people who by chance or by misfortune wouldn't know about your work, just a couple of words about what you're doing. So Frauke, to quote your website, your company, the company Requardt and Rosenberg, was established to create dance performance away from the auditorium and studio, either in outdoor locations or within temporary structures, in order to engage a wide audience in a distinctive format, large-scale dance performances, and intimacy of the audience experience through binaural sound. The goal is the creation of dance works that take a starting point on architectural constraint, and the creation of dance works that take as a starting point, the construction of temporary performances space that can tour and provide an alternate touring network for international work. So let me try to just screen one picture of your work. So it was Electric Hotel, 2009. Sitting on the outside, looking in, the audience, wearing headphones, watch and hear the residents in their private rooms. So that's for Frauke. Satchie, we can see that you are working in a container in Nanterre, and you also use it as a portable device, a place which moves, which transports its own space, as you say. So let me show you this container in, oops, sorry. Let me show you this container and you on this container. So it was it is still a performance called Origami, created in 2015. And you say, origami, a playful and ancestral practice, container, a scenographic volume, dance, a motor for metamorphosis, and globalization on a human scale. Well, Willi, your most well-known, worldwide well-known piece, I would say, piece of work is, of course, bodies in urban spaces. And you define bodies in urban spaces as a moving trail. I will try to screen one picture, but you will show us more later. So up, here is it. So is a moving trail a chain of physical intervention choreographed for a group of dancers. The performers lead the audience through selected parts of public and semi-public spaces. So actually, you write as well in your book that in the 90s, the concept of time was mainly addressed. But from the beginning of the second millennium, conceptual focus was on speciality. So it was time to leave the theater stage for you. And in 2004, the idea of bodies in urban space came out after a 6-week research period with installation and performances in the Hanging Gardens, a Vienna residential building, where the dimension of apartments and living spaces in relation to the human body were an important topic. You were inspired by the modular by Le Corbusier, you say, and you highlight how much of their living space people leave open for movement. You made their size visible by arranging and filling them with human bodies. In 2006, the Department of Architecture of Barcelona asked you to put it outdoor, and you created a pilot of bodies in urban spaces. So was it natural for you to go out? And how did you manage to adapt your work to public space? I give you the floor.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I got this offer from the academy in Barcelona, I wasn't sure if I can do it, you know, because I was in these private houses, in this residential building, and I got a 2 weeks residency, and in these 2 weeks, I made this change. I could develop the idea further, and the result was for me very interesting. But as you can imagine, I was also one partner of the University for Architecture, was also a dance festival, and then the dance festival invited audience, and the problem was that people always expected that the performers will start to move, you know, and I did all these installations, and I didn't fulfill the expectations of the audience, so people didn't like it very much, but it was just a row of installations, one after the next, and I was very happy with the result, and yeah, but for the audience in the very beginning, it was, for some, it was not frustrating. Some could understand what I did, but the majority of the audience was actually quite frustrated, you know, this, and but I saw the frustration, but there was a Parisian organizer, and she loved it, and she invited me to Paris and for next year, and the Festival Quartier d'été in Paris, and there I could further develop. This was actually the first premiere, the real premiere of, because it was really a 1 hour walk, and this was really quite a challenge also for myself, because I never did it before, and yeah, I had to deliver a show, you know, in a festival.
Were you surprised that Barcelona asked you to come to their festival and work with the architecture department and for an outdoor project? Were you surprised, or was it okay? Was it?
Yes. I mean, I was not surprised that the academy, because I did some urbanistic works before, and they asked me to talk about my urbanistic works, but then the festival joined in and gave me this offer. So this was the surprise, you know, that they were willing from the first moment. That I didn't have to discuss it. They said yes, try to bring, because they liked the photos. I showed photos of the project indoor, and they said yes, take it outdoor. And yeah, it's an experiment, but let's see, you know. And at that time, I was also very naive, I have to say, you know, because I was not aware of private spaces, of public spaces, you know, of all these regulations and limitations. I mean, somehow, yes, you know, but it's more on a very unconscious level. But through this work, I realized how much we are in a cage, in fact, you know. So there is a cage of regulations, I find, and also what I found out more and more is that how important it is to influence architects, because the architects decide how we can move, you know, the way we can move, the way we can meet, the way we can walk. You know, all our environment is somehow designed by people, and they decide, you know, where we can sit, how much light do we have in the room. You know, it's very simple, but the longer I worked with this project, I realized how important are architects for our life, you know, and
yeah.
because I worked as a choreographer, and I did stage work, I toured stage work, but then when I realized that I got more and more interested in space itself, I said, you know, I have to leave. I have to go and see all the other spaces where we live in, where we meet people, you know, all the daily life spaces. And actually through this, I really got stuck. And then with bodies, it was a big success, you know. It's still happening, you know. I have 2 assistants, and the assistants actually do now my work. Sometimes I do it still on special occasions, but it's more or less my assistant's work, because I need to do something else. I have to, and yeah, I developed also more different artistic works, of course. You know.
And we will come back to them later. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Frauke, may I ask you, why did you choose to perform outdoor?
Yes, Floriane, thank you. Can I introduce myself first? So I'm sitting in my office with 2 pictures that I love very much. One is has this sort of 2 figurines of models of costumes. There are 2 mushrooms, and one is a Franco B. It's a sort of person that looks quite abstracted with a triangle for a heart. I am middle-aged, I suppose. I'm 45 years old woman. I use the pronouns she, her. I've got glasses. I'm wearing a pink t-shirt, baby pink. I've got a, dark blonde fringe with hair tied back. What was the question?
How did you choose, and why did you choose to perform outdoor? Because you started indoor,
yes,
as Willi.
Yes. So I suppose I found myself, I was confronted with an opportunity that offered the outdoors to me. So I was match made by somebody, by Fuel, Kate McGrath, and who was supporting David Rosenberg, and Emma Gladstone, who was then working at Settlers Wells, who was supporting me. They thought we should get together and see if we could collaborate. And it was quite clear that we would probably work well. We had a bit of a test, and David came with this idea for Electric Hotel. It wasn't a hotel, then we sort of decided together, but his idea was to have a temporary structure with a vertical playing space where an audience in a voyeuristic way looks in and can take a greater view onto the action. That was the sort of basics, and it was his desire to work with dancers. So he felt like he required a choreographer. And so from then we have been co-directing, and it kind of became coincidentally this strand of work that I do in the outdoors. What it offers is a feeling, wrongly or rightly so, of greater freedom and an opportunity to present something that feels, to me at least, quite unique, given the variables that it comes with, and being able to design everything, the structure itself, the perspective, the audience perspective onto the action, and the different places in which the work sits in that add or take or change what we're presenting. So it was an opportunity that led to this 10, 11 years of a body of work. Yeah, have I answered it? I don't know.
Well, you wanted to show us a short video of your brand new performance.
Yeah, thank you. So this is it's just a minute trailer of a show that's just beginning to tour called Future Cargo. So I will screen share. I will press this and
magic.
There we go.
Tell me, what did you experience? What did you see? What did you hear?
I have listened to Noro.
We've got some fireballs in the area. There's a giant streak going across the sky.
There you go.
Okay, so it's storing now, or is it already ready? Is it?
It's ready. Yes.
And where will we have the chance to see it this summer, maybe?
Yeah. So oh gosh, I will have to look up the schedules. The next one is at the Lowry. Then we have Southampton. Then we have Greenwich and Docklands in early September. You find the dates on the place website. They have produced the show.
All right, great. So working and creating for outdoor venues, is it far different from creating for indoor venues or conventional venues?
Yeah, very different.
Tell us.
So I suppose there are some variables that come together very late, and then there's a period of finding out where the show really belongs. That is not so clear from the outset. You can have a hunch, but then by situating it in different locations, you find out what it does to the show. For example, we did a show in 12 cars, motor show at a piece of wasteland, and it was performed in different locations. And it was also at, had the Canary Wharf as the backdrop, where we realized, like, this is fantastic. We are basically getting this whole scenery for free that offers this fantastic, it belonged to us for the time when the show was running, and then it could be Canary Wharf again. And I really love that. The scale of that backdrop really brought out the loneliness of the show, this sort of sense of, you know, all the things that could happen in a wasteland where the lost people go, you know. And then it was squeezed into a car park somewhere else, and it just felt much more twee, much more contained. The show, the meaning really shifted. And I think you got to be able to allow that to happen and experience what it is then in a different location, and learn from that, and somehow give up on some sense a level of control that you maybe have in the black box theater. Lighting an outdoor show is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have to present it twice a day, then the light will be different. So sometimes we've been working with, you know, a daytime lighting and a nighttime lighting, and then the show feels completely different in the night.
Which can be interesting. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We usually work incredibly rough spaces, so the dancers have to be up for being often uncomfortable on some level. A motor show was at the biscuit factory. We rehearsed there in a big warehouse, so it's a concrete, dusty space. We rehearsed at Stone Nest, which was incredibly dusty. We seem to be finding the dusty spaces a lot. Yeah, there are lots of things that are different that really make the work what they are. I think where you rehearse really impacts on what the work becomes.
Yeah, And when you speak about the landscapes, the big landscapes, or this factory or thing like that, do you think that the gestures are sometimes too small for these big scales?
Well, yes, sometimes I feel like you some environments fight against the show when there's
Oops. Frauke, are you with us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, it's okay, it's okay.
We have kind of resolved this by giving people headphones. We do headphone shows. This is not something you encounter as you walk by. This is something you get a ticket for. Even if the ticket is for free, you should turn up at a certain time, get your headphones, and then you're quite isolated in your experience. And there's a strong attention and focus that you get from being brought into the action through the sound. And so this is the way that we found to have some intimacy in large-scale outdoor performances where the focus is often lost.
Okay, all right. Satchie, how come that you choose to get out of indoor venues? Because you worked a lot indoor with other choreographers or other artists, and then out of a sudden you decided to get out and well, tell us. And I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you, Satchie, to describe yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Satchie. I'm right now in my container of the show Origami that transforms itself when I'm not on tour in my office in Nanterre. It's a circle school place that I'm co-directing. I'm a dancer. I'm white and yellow, Japanese and French. Japanese from my father. I'm 47. I have brown eyes. I have long hair, tied. And I wear not the pink, green t-shirt. And yeah, it's the first thing I did actually in my process of creation is to perform outdoors. It happens that I got a very strong and rigid ballet education. And when I got 16, I interned Dutch opera in Berlin just after the wall came down. And I felt very, very unhappy because all what I learned with great teachers, suddenly everything fall down because it was so, the way people interact, the way the body was taken in question, and everything made me very depressed. I couldn't put a word on it at that time, but now I have more visibility of what happened. And so I quit and I discovered artists who were working in a warehouse in Squat in Berlin because a lot of spaces in East Berlin were empty. And with all my technical, very like sportive experience, then I experienced something which were for me like so incredible. It's not to just execute movement in its beautiful virtuosity, but also experience space. And in any kind of space, like in warehouse, in outdoor, in any kind of weather. And it just opened up my brain because it was a time where if you asked me to improvise, dance, I will just cry because I will be unable to find ways to find something, inspiration to go through and bring something out. And suddenly to be in relation with my environment suddenly gave me a partner where I could create dialogue. And thinking about this, like this today meeting, I was thinking that yeah, in ballet, you start with of course it's very safe a space, of course, to not get injured, and because it's very demanding the technique, but also the two elements you get in a room is a mirror and a bar to be in balance, and the mirror who reflects constantly your own image. And so it's an environment where you're just stuck for creativity because the only thing you're related to, it's yourself. And it's very sterile. And so, yeah, open door, it's just like discovering this all this new, yeah, new sensation, new, yeah, just like give me such a freedom and possibilities that I kept all along.
Which freedom? Because Willi also mentioned the freedom. For you, which
Yeah,
freedom?
it's a freedom. For me, it was really a freedom. Even it outdoor, it just you have to take account a lot of things, and it's an alive environment. You can't control it like a black box. It's a black box. You can like be so detailed and know that every day you will reproduce quasi exactly the same thing as outdoor. It can be raining, it can be so sunny, you can have a dog barking, you can have people just screaming. You have so much element to take account, and it's like your attention, the attention of your concentration is not the same, because in black box you're very protected, and it's a great feeling. But outdoor, you have to have other senses open to be able to react, and if you're 8 meters high, to not fall because someone will be screaming or something like this. It's like you have to be very, very aware, like
yeah, but still you feel free.
Yeah. I think this kind of concentration just bring you such awareness of your surrounding that this give you it's kind of a contemplative meditating state.
Yeah. Can you tell us why you choose to work, as we can see, and perform with and on and in containers?
It's my encounter with Sylvain Hall, the second big factor in my path. It's to encounter the builder Sylvain Hall. It was 14 years ago. I was just fascinated by the skill he had to put in forms ideas. And for me, it was something also very like, wow, because in dance, you create forms, but it's ephemeral forms. And Sylvain actually put in forms, but in a permanent way, which for me were like, wow, it's another, like something which where I could feel a bit of a grounded. And is Sylvain and I, so we started a long collaboration. We're still working together in different kind of structure, like aerial or terrestrial. It's like always such a pleasure, and to research together the way we want to invent the idea, or he puts it or I put it, and it works like really like a tailor-made on the body. It's like you really take account the movement, where we're gonna go with it. Like for origami, it's like it's a trailer. The container is already on the trailer. It doesn't move from the trailer, so it's very easy to travel with it. It's like if we have 2 days of installation, it's not possible because my body will not be able to like install for 2 days and then perform. So it's like we have to see everything. With origami, it's like we all have this like big love about containers, this big box, even if the symbol of it is not that nice because it's just polluted all our sea. It's the symbol of globalization. It's all what we don't want, but everybody, we just go into the flow of it. And we wanted to take one out of this market and this circulation and make an object of poetry and of movement and of travel, and put some of our work, care and love of movement. And
Okay, thank you. Well, so far, I would like to tell our audience that feel free to ask questions. You can put them on the chat and we will read them, and maybe we will answer them immediately or keep them for the end of this panel or for this time. But feel free to put questions on the chat. And well, I would like Willi to that you introduce yourself, describe yourself, because I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot that. Okay.
And then I will have a question for you. Please.
Okay. I'm sitting here in my kitchen in an apartment in Chemnitz in Germany. I'm here for, I got work commissioned for the State Theater in Chemnitz, and here's the best internet reception. I am white, I'm male, I have gray-white hair, and I wear black framed glasses.
All right, thank you.
And I'm based in Vienna, so yeah.
All right, all right. So, Willi, Frauke and Satchie add props to the public space. In bodies in urban spaces, you don't. So you say that you want to get how architecture can be perceived through the body. And Franz Steinmeier writes about your work. Willi Dorner intervenes directly in the condition of cities by using them as public stages. So how architecture can be perceived through the body? And are you using cities by as public stages? Well, what can you do? Your statement. What can you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't like so much this expression that the city becomes a public stage, because for me also that city is scenography, because I was driven by the research. How can we perceive space through our body, and our body, my body, and everybody's. This is the instrument how we can understand the world. So this is the point zero. I mean, we have a lot of tools and gadgets, you know, to experience. You know, we get a lot of visuals, but in fact, our body is our instrument how we sense where we are, and this is the point zero. And I mean, this is very. I'm very influenced by phenomenology. Because this is the starting point, and I try to keep my work very simple, and actually, because when I start to bring in like a lot of material, and I need to go and ask for permissions, you know, to place my things, I start to privatize the space, and I see the space in a city is for all of us. This is a political statement, you know. And when I started to do this work, I didn't care of permissions. Of course, in cities like London, it's impossible. I mean, they arrest you in the worst case. Or in New York City, it was it was really problematic, you know. But the thing is, for me, is that I want people to understand that how much we are in a cage, how much there are conventions, how we have to behave. So like not written down conventions. And of course, there are regulations, like laws, what you are allowed to do and not. And this is actually what I'm interested in, that to reappropriate your surrounding, and this is just happening through my body. Yeah, this is my tool, and yeah.
To do that, you also use the architecture and the furniture you find in public space.
Yes, the urban furniture, and then I did also a trilogy on so the bodies outside, outdoor. And then I worked with furniture, with objects. I mean, these elements we are living with, and but I try to understand that these are also shapes. They are forms. You know, when you turn them around, the chair.
Some picture of this project. And the other one.
Not from this one, but and the third part of the trilogy is fitting.
Yeah.
And fitting is about the basic element of a house, which is a wall. A wall separates us, and in fitting, I show the building process.
Yeah.
And I can show you some photos. Like, I do this now. I click this, and Yeah, can you see this now? Can everybody see this now? Yeah. So the piece starts, people meet they get a meeting point, and a lot of like installations with the board, because the board also becomes an element of the performance. So people are guided by installations to a spot where the performance will happening. So they walk about like 20-25 minutes, follow the performer and see these installations. And then they arrive at the spot where the performance is happening. And when they arrive, all this material that you see here displayed are in a little shed. So when they arrive, the space is empty, and everything is with all these elements, including the performers, they are squeezed into a little shed. And then they get a signal, and then they step out of this shed and lay out all the material, like in an IKEA catalog, you know, like you buy a cupboard, you buy a cupboard in IKEA, and then you get all the elements, and then you look at the plan, which elements you should use in the right order, and then these photos are now, the following photos are from the building process. So we use some chairs, and all these elements are walls and some boards. And the end is that they built this house in a corner. And yeah, and this is one of the installations on the way to the performance spot.
How long do they have to hang there like that?
Actually, this one here that you see, it's an easy one. I mean, she can stay there for 3-4 minutes. This is actually my assistant, Esther.
I mean, this looks incredible.
And also him. Yeah, and then I started to make some creations on, these are just photos, like installations with chairs and bodies. Yeah. So yeah, I think what I want to just, and this is, I repeat myself, is I always try to stay very simple and to start from my body and to understand my architectonical surrounding.
Yeah, well, as far as we have this picture on the screen with chairs, I will jump to my last question actually, and we'll come back to the other ones, because Satchie and you really have worked with chairs these last years. Satchie in Chile, you created SIAS, the chairs, and as an ambulatory scenography, and you also, Willi, in It Does Matter Where in 2018, you worked with chairs.
Yeah.
So, Satchie, can you tell us about this project a little bit?
It's a participative project which started with non-professional people, and I wanted to create a link, a way to create movement, but a movement which will be accessible to everyone. So I thought to bring the object of the chair that everybody in the world, most of the world, are using and creating all along the life, vocabulary, gesture, and to start from there and to bring it into the public space, because it's like each time you text something and you put it in an environment where it doesn't belong to, then it becomes the curiosity, the attention is not the same. And to recreate a kind of choreography, taking account the circulations, environment, and yeah.
Okay, and you, Willi, can you tell us about It Does Matter Where?
Yeah, I mean, I can also show you some photos.
And then we have a question on the chat. I will ask. I shall ask you the question later. But please screen the pictures.
I can see them now on the screen. Huh? Strange, because I put them on the desktop.
Yeah.
But I cannot see them.
So if you try to share, yeah. All right.
Can you see this one now?
Yeah, shares
Yeah.
on the crossroad.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a participatory project. I invite people in the city to walk with me and just to test like where we can sit down with the chairs. And I started this project actually quite a while ago. It was in 2007. I was artist in residence at the University for Built Environment in Nottingham. And I walked with the architecture students with a little coffee table and 2 chairs and a carpet through the city. And we just wanted to sit down and have a tea or drink and chat wherever we want. And I picked up this idea actually just 3 years before Corona. And actually this was my first project after the Corona last year in summer, because it became so virulent. The problem for people, because through Corona, people realized how small their apartments are, especially when you live together with children. And when you don't earn so much money, you cannot afford really big apartments, you know. And I want to point out with this project that there is a lot of space that actually is used on the one hand for cars. You see on this photo, and they should give more space for people so they can also hang out, you know. And the city of Vienna, what did they do? They blocked street and they asked drivers to slow down and said, people, you can sit down wherever you want on the street. But in fact, it wasn't really possible, because all the streets are full of cars, you know. It was a bit cynical, you know, to say, okay, we block street for drive-through traffic, or cars that live there can pass through in low speed, and you can sit where you want, but this is impossible, you know. So the question of that we need more public space, more space where, you know, where we can just go out, or spaces to where we just can go out and sit down after work in cities, became so necessary. And through Corona, I think it increased the understanding of this problem that we have in big cities.
Yeah, actually in Paris, the mayor of Paris chose another solution. She puts a terrace everywhere. You can no longer, some streets are pedestrian just for terrace, but it's also a commercial aim, let's say. But the parking places are full of terrace, and it will be, well, it becomes, so the public space no longer belongs to the cars, but belongs to the terrace. I mean, the commercial aspects. So,
yeah, but see, this is what I mean, you know. You need money again to go out and sit and use this space, you know. It should be a non-commercial, you know. And this is also what I'm really, when I get invited to speak somewhere, I always say that it's very, very important to understand that we need non-commercial spaces in cities. I mean, the idea is, I mean, the concept is good, you know, to put the cars away and make space, but then it's privatized or economized, you know, and it should not be economized, you know, the public space.
yes, exactly. And when you mentioned the political aspect of your work, it's also, and also the urban planning. It's all of it's question of all of that. When you speak about art in public space or outdoors and things like that, when you address these issues, the body in the urban environment or rural environment, probably as well, with different issues. Well, it's all about that, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I had a big discussion with the Danish architect. What's his name? He's quite famous. He did because he did a lot of bikeways in New York City, and also pushed cars out of central Manhattan. What's his name? But he always I told him, again, the problem is that you economize the space. It is not really public space, and I think this is the problem, that the city has to understand that this is the space for the residents, and they should not buy a coffee to be able to sit down. They can bring their bottle of beer or whatever by themselves, or they choose and go into the cafe, of course, yes, but it should be free for everybody, so that, or it should be at least in equilibrium,
And not only to terrace or to cafes, but you mentioned as well some walls where you cannot lean on because it's forbidden. And you mentioned the authorization. We don't know the public space as a prison. So
yes. I mean, in the States, when we worked in the States, in Philadelphia, it was really funny. It was a wide pavement, and the people didn't like us what we did. And then a guard came out and said, half of the pavement is owned by this company. So we were not allowed to walk on this side of the pavement. Every time when he saw us, he watched if we walk on the public side of the pavement. You understand? So it's really, whoa, you suddenly realize, okay, half of the pavement is actually private, and I cannot do what I want on this side, but here I'm in public. So
yeah, exactly.
you understand? So there is a invisible grid or regulations around us.
And Frauke and Satchie, did you had any experience like that, where the place you would have to chosen was not permitted, was not allowed, or was private, and you had to pay to perform there? Or what do you think about
Yes, so I personally don't sort that out, but there's a constant negotiation with developers and trying to get into spaces that are currently being demolished, that are then to be rebuilt, and trying to get the timing right that we can slot in our either rehearsal time or a performance there. So we tried to do a rogue performance at Liverpool Street Station where our performers almost got arrested, which was incredibly exciting. but it's very difficult to pull anything like that off in public spaces in London, like Trafalgar Square or Waterloo Station, where we try to use the mass choreography of the commuters as part of the performance. And so it's all about different permits and trying to hunt down who to ask, because it's not always the same person. It is this invisible grid that Willi was talking about, that you kind of have to get the hang of. Is it the mayor? Is it a private company? Yes.
If you want to know who is the owner, you just climb on the building, and then you know immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
This is how we have found some of the spaces via Google Earth, and then we just drove around to see if it was up to date and if it was still a wasteland. And so we did climb a few fences, but yeah, I guess we got away with it.
Yes, but it's performing outdoor or choosing outdoor is all that. It's all about that. The place you choose, what you create, and the audience you reach, and the way you reach the audience, and you put it in your story. Satchie, do you have any examples of that, or What do you think about that? Is it
The same thing. It's just the organizer are getting better and better to ask for the authorization, so which is great. But yeah, of course, it's like it's a struggle. But what I see appearing and which frighten me a lot, it's safety regulation for the public and for the artist. It's like we're less and less allowed to use anything. Like even myself, it's like I want, if Sylvain is designing something, it's like they are asking me for like the safety rate the thing, and that I can't do it because it doesn't have this stamp for, and you're like, but come on, it's my it's my job. It's like we designed it, I'm responsible for it. I will sign the paper if you want, and it's more and more, and also here in France, and with the corona, it's increasing. It about the gestion of the public.
Yeah.
It's like you're not in public space, you're in square. It's like many times with origami, they want to barrier it all around, and you're like, but it's not a show for a cage. It's like we are doing it to be related to the landscape, not to have barrier all around. It's like, and you have to fight for this because regulation are so strong and they ask you more and more. And I think in England, it's worse than in France. In Germany, it's you forget about it. And in France, it's starting. It's like we will have to like ask company to ask this, what you have in England, this risk of
risk manifest.
Yeah, and so we will have more and more to have money to pay those people for like
preventionists.
Yeah,
preventionists, and and anything that you don't have, sometimes you don't get the authorization. Well,
UK is the most complicated. In Europe.
I also worry about that there's some that there's a skill lost of assessing what oneself can do safely, and I do think that there's a space for risk assessment that is externally conducted. I find it incredibly important to be able to gauge myself what I can and can't do. That's how I would like to live my life, and also to put my trust in people and not put a fence around, because what is it? It just sort of, it sends a sort of message of mistrust when it's a performance that's about connection. Yeah.
No, but Satchie, I would like to ask Satchie a question, because when we work, and because all this risk assessment, that there's somebody meeting us and says, you're not allowed to climb up there, he even doesn't consider, that he's an expert. He knows how to climb up, and he knows how to deal with the situation, and they ignore that, even when you say, I mean, this is an expert, he can do it, he's an acrobat, I mean, I wonder, Satchie, what you I mean, I guess you are also confronted with such officers that do all this risk assessment, right?
Not in France, it's starting in France. It's like when we are doing the agrès for circus, the apparatus, they ask more and more for homologation. And it's like, we rehearse with it, the builders are expert on it. It's like, you don't even know about what we presented. It's like cars are more dangerous than what I do, because I'm an expert in it, and it's like all this annihilation of yourself and your education and all your work. It's
sorry, folks, but we have 10 minutes left. Only 10 minutes left, and we've got two main questions. But it's related to what we are speaking about, because would it be by the landscape or the frame of the environment you perform in? Frauke told that sometimes it's changed the meaning of the performance, the place you perform. Satchie and Willi, you are asked to give some examples if it happens to you. And the second question, which is also related in a way, it's can we separate political statement and performance in public space, or is it always political? Boom.
Sorry, or is it
Oh, well, is it possible to separate political statement and performance in public space? So in one hand, and the second hand, which is related, the place where you perform, does it change the meaning of your performance, on purpose or not on purpose? Woo. Who wants to answer that? Satchie, for example, could you give us examples where you put your container, your origami, and it's maybe changed the meaning of your performance, or the way the audience perceive your performance, if it's on a seashore or if it's in a urban in an urban space with buildings, for example?
Yeah. It's not the same, of course, and it affect me a lot, because if you, like, for example, one time we performed in Place de la République in Paris, and it's so crowded, and you have the bus and the car and you have to get such a strong attention of the moment and what is happening around you. And the public sense it. It's like at a certain point, if you reach it, it's like the connection can be very strong, but you can also not get it, and then the show is just going into like this sea of information. And also in the movement, it's not when you put origami in a seashore or natural location. It's I slow down my movement. It's like the time I take, you have few moments of silence and stillness. I can really take the time for it, and I feel that the people are breathing also with the environment and what is going on, and it's really it's breathing together, which changes because the environment allows it. In the city, you have to be more aware and the body is more tight, as in natural space. It's you can chill, and then of course it affects the performance and the way people see it and feels it.
Yeah. What about you, Willi?
Well, I think what I tried was, in the beginning, I mean, with bodies it changed a lot, you know, because this also took a development, because in the beginning bodies was quite subversive. So we tried to work without permission. This was really a surprise for people, you know, on the street. And but then by the time the project became more popular, and you know, you get invited by big festivals, and then all the things started with the permissions, because the festivals don't take the risk to work without permission, or just let it happen in a city. You know, it is announced in magazines with photos, but people don't know where is it happening in the city, you know. And no festival doesn't want to take that risk, you know, because they want it that it gets seen. So it becomes a machinery, you know. So you need permissions, but even then we had funny moments, because, for example, in Berlin we had an audience of 700 people, and the police didn't expect that. And there were two policemen there, and they said, "Oh, it's impossible, you know, we cannot do it, you know." It was Potsdamer Platz in Berlin, you know, and they said, "You know, we cannot send home 700 people, they kill us." You know, and they said, we go, we walk, you know, and you will see it will be fine, you know. And then we started, and they followed. Of course they blocked the street, so traffic was really stuck. But you know, when they leave the street, they go into the next street. So it was like a kind of demonstration almost, you know. I really like that, because it's the other extreme. Either it's really subversive and it's only a few people see it, or it's really like a big crowd following and really making creating a traffic jam, you know. And but in a way, I was invited to an exhibition, and I tried to point out what was the development of this project. You know, on the one hand, I showed photos, the photos, you know, and then I showed actually the spreadsheet of the office for risk assessment. And there is lists, you know, what is happening when, and which ushers have to be where, and where do they have to guide the people across the street. And you know, so I showed like a big photo, just a risk assessment, instead of like the photos of the project. Because over the years, you know, when I started in 2006, I started without permissions. And in 2020, I end up with a big spreadsheet. And it's like a choreography. It's like a notation, like a Laban notation, you know, like it starts from up to down, and you see what is happening. You know, there is 3, 6, 7 different lists. Who is doing what at the same time, you know, and this is for me so it became visually so clear, you know, how the project changed over the 15, 16 years. You know?
Yeah, thank you. Well, the 3 minutes left, I know, Leon. So Frauke and Satchie, what about political? Is it possible to separate political statement and performance in public space? 1 minute each of you.
I think if you're so inclined, then you cannot separate it. People will view it with a political hat on, especially these days, where everything can be politicized. It's not necessarily like how I make work, but I now think also about work a bit differently, what the political impact could be. I didn't when I started off. I'm not a political artist. And I don't work strategic in that way. But the thing that I truly love about the outdoor work is that it does seem more accessible. And that is a political thing that I enjoy this byproduct of where I happen to find myself in. And I find that hugely exciting, that the feeling is it's more for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's political, social. Yeah.
Yes.
And what about you, Satchie?
Yeah, same as Frauke, but I'm also not putting this myself in my work as political, but the fact to get out dedicated places as theater, to be out and allow the people to not pass through a door to be able to see art, but come to the people and give them the possibility to have a look, or to stay, or to leave, or to manifest themselves, and to not only be in certain area. I remember this time with origami in Czechia, where the city decided, a very nice touristic city, beautiful center, theater in the middle of the city, and they decided to put the origami in the suburb. You had the city, the fields, and then you had like huge, ugly building, totally separated by the field, and origami was there. And they were so happy because the people of the city, they weren't there. And it was the first time they will just have another movement to another place, and not only like the focus on the center made for and the poor, and it's like to break also social audience. And I think this is political too.
Of course. Police in Greece is just the city, means the city. How we make the city? Would it be from an architectural or urban planning point of view, or a social point of view, or an aesthetic point of view? And I guess, Danielle, tell me, is it over?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. If you want to ask another question, that's okay, or?
Well, no, it's okay for me. It's okay for us. I just would like to thank Willi, Frauke, and Satchie for participating. I would like to thank the audience for asking questions. And well, Daniel, since I've got the schedule.
And you are bang on, Floriane. Thank you very much. That was perfect. Thank you so much for a fantastic and stimulating conversation, and for all of your work in the revolution of reclaiming public spaces. Thank you very much for all of that as well. Thank you. Right, so now we're going to take a very short break before coming back at 11:30 for the next session about digital play and exploration in outdoor dance, where we're going to meet Kwasi Johnson, Laura Kiefman, Nikki Watson and Chair Donna Close. But first, here is the amazing 30-second animated rendering of Temujin's live scribing of this panel session. Check it out.